Minutes from June 17th. I didn't have any changes. Anyone have any input on the minutes?
They're all right. Good. Yeah.
Good, yep. You guys, any input on the minutes from June? Say something so we know that we can hear you or not.
Say something.
I think everybody's.
I can hear you guys, and I'm good on the minutes.
Okay,
Signs of life.
there you go. All right, so motion to approve the minutes, June 17th?
Second.
Good,
I'm fine with them. I'm fine with them too.
great. Thanks, Mark. Next meeting, September 9th. Do we want to do, they wouldn't care whether we do 5 or 6?
I was fine, I got.
Peter is
Six
better, but.
Later's better?
I'm always good with the earlier is better for me.
30.
Christina, you have any issues with time,
No.
5 or 6?
It's fine.
Yeah, just as soon stick to 6 if 6 works. Yeah,
Okay, 6 o'clock.
Do you want to continue for the rest of the year? It's like they're just my bad.
after that, probably go to 5, right?
Yeah, we have daylight savings coming up or whatever.
Once the time changes in November,
Right.
is that- then there's nothing, it's gonna be dark anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So 6 o'clock?
6, 9 at 6.
And so we should be sticking with 6 o'clock October as well,
Yeah, I'd say so.
and then November switching to 5.
Yes. Let's see, communication, other correspondence. So received a couple of communications from waterfront owners regarding their ability to be allowed to be on the, to get a slip at Congdon Creek or be on the waiting list to get a slip at Congdon Creek. And this is really in reference to the rules and regulations that were drafted by Bo to accompany the newly proposed Article 2 town-owned docks portion of Chapter 53. So one individual has waterfront property and a dock, but it's not in an area that can accommodate a boat. It's very shallow and it's actually inside of bridge. It's in Gardeners Creek. Gardeners Creek. So they really can't keep a boat at their dock. So they're on the wait list for a slip at Congdon Creek. The other individual has a property with a dock, but they are looking to sell it. And so they'd like to stay on the list. So when they finally come up, if they don't own that house, they could get a dock at Congdon Creek. So Bo, I presented both these to Bo, and Bo said he thinks that can be worked out, no problem. It's part of the beauty of the rules and regulations is that we don't have to go through legislation to make these kinds of changes. And so basically, if you don't have, his thoughts would be if you don't have a functional dock, and that's something that would have to be checked out, you can be on the list, on the wait list for Congdon Creek. And if you can be on the wait list if you do have waterfront property. At the time your name comes up, if you still have waterfront property, you get bumped. If you don't, then you're good. So hopefully that will address their concerns. The other,
It seems just a case by case basis when it comes up that's easy to
yeah.
deal with.
The other correspondence was regarding the eelgrass planting by Cornell, and they were proposing to do that in Cockles Harbor. Tom chimed in and indicated that he didn't feel it was a good location, and that there was an issue where there's really a disconnect between that type of issue coming before us or the town board and the Bayman not being privy to all of that. So my response to you was to get a hold of her, Kate from Cornell. Did you have any?
I haven't gotten a chance to get in touch with her yet.
So you don't think it's good because it would close off an area to you?
A while ago, when the proposal was to do eelgrass seeding projects, O&L came before town and asked the Bayman for input on locations. So the Bayman gave input on locations, and our locations were, I don't know whether they were ignored, but they were not used. And we were very strongly and adamantly against trying any eelgrass restoration efforts in Cockles Harbor, simply because there is eelgrass everywhere. And West Neck, we wanted them to do something in West Neck because there is no eelgrass. As far as most of the Baymen are concerned, any supposed positive result from this eelgrass effort will not be, it'll be called into question simply because of the distance between what they did and the few feet to the eelgrass. So that was my comments on that. I don't know whether they went forward with the project or not, but the main thing is the lack of communication between the town and the Bayman on things like this. It's happened before.
Yeah.
We usually find out after the fact, and then.
Oh, it'd be good to do it in West Neck, I mean, if they could find a suitable spot. I know that she's done surveying. I know they're gonna try a pilot oyster reef in Manana Creek.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, there was talk about that too.
That's a great thing, I think.
Yeah, but Menantic doesn't have a real flow in there for.
Well, I mean, there's,
Atlantic does have oysters though.
yeah, it does have oysters. So, I mean, I think the thought is, it's the chicken and the egg here. I mean, it's really like murky, but maybe if you start building this reef up, it begins to
In and out.
clean it out. I mean, there's no one thing that's gonna fix it,
Yeah. In West Neck, the southwest corner, as you're going out on the. Shell Beach, right in that corner, there is some eelgrass in there. I used to have oysters down in there. The last dock used to be Wancura's dock.
Right.
South of Wancura's dock, there used to be some eelgrass in there. Yeah, so,
Maybe get together with you to look at that on a map and point to that.
yeah, it's right in that elbow there right now.
But she had made a presentation at the Menantic Creek Keepers meeting, that's what they're gonna do. So I thought that was.
No, I mean, I think it's a great program, the Cornell's trying to help us out here, but sometimes they don't. It doesn't appear that they're listening and there's a lack of communication.
It's hard to think of a way to keep you guys plugged, keep everybody kind of
Other
plugged
than
in.
just keep saying it when it happens.
Yeah. But you want to be before the fact, not after the fact. so.
Yeah,
All right, well, follow up with her and see what you can do.
yeah, okay.
So, let's see, briefing by town board liaisons.
Here we go.
Ben, do you have anything for us?
Issue I've never heard about. Yes. And I know the board has received a couple of questions around the new fees we've imposed of being part of a repair application for a bulkhead. So we would love some clarification or some input from you on whether or not that $5,000 fee would apply to a bulkhead repair application. Because I believe you guys would like to encourage bulkhead repair.
So, we have not discussed bulkhead repair fee, or any kind of fee for bulkheads in the past. That hasn't been presented to us. We've discussed docks and moorings. Basically, typically the town board establishes fees and then we hear about them later on and then
Everybody complains.
and we discuss them. So,
We're trying to flip that, right?
yeah, so with bulkheads, we'd be happy to have some input. I don't know what the schedule of fees are for bulkheads because that hasn't come up before. So if we could see that, just a couple of points on bulkheads is they are, I think, a lot simpler and more straightforward than docks as far as the application goes. They're typically being replaced. They're not new. So it is typically a repair as opposed to a new construction. They're usually not in kind, so it's not in place in kind because you're usually replacing wood with vinyl. And it's something we want to encourage because once they start to go, they go pretty quickly and create a really bad situation. So I'd say if you guys can get us a schedule of fees for the bulkheads, and we'll just email it to us and we'll kick it around and handle it probably with emails between now and the next meeting.
Okay, I will do that.
That's good.
And Bo isn't here, I never asked him if he was coming. I never got around to it. I had forwarded him a couple emails and I'm not sure why he's,
reached out to me about some environment, sort of testing in Daring Harbor and actually Gardner's Creek, and trying to do something with the farm with Sylvester Manor. I got the impression that he was going to be here tonight. That was a note he sent out on Thursday. He thought the implication I took was that he was going to be here, as was somebody from Sylvester Manor.
Sure.
But they were looking for environmental data.
water testing?
Yeah, I mean, just sort of like from the stuff that I put together last year. And so I was expecting more information because it was a bit vague. So I resent the presentation that I made to the board last year to him, because he was looking for, I think he was looking for contact details for the different agencies that had done testing in the past. So I don't know that it was anything. I don't think it was, I didn't take away that it was anything for the future, but it was like they wanted to figure out who's actually testing and who has an interest in that, who has been doing it in the past.
Well, what's the name of the organization that were Surf?
Surf
Surf Rider and whatever, yeah. But I think this was, I took the impression that it was something slightly different. I don't know.
I think they
Do you know
proposed,
who from Australia they were going to talk to? Sarah Gordon?
I think they were gonna do some sort of oyster project down there, weren't they? They were doing water testing
I can
for?
find it.
Inside Gardner's Creek?
Yeah, I think they wanted to do something in there. I think
Well, years ago, when I was on a committee at Sylvester Manor, I brought that up. That was back when, years ago. So I don't know what's happened with that since. I'll email Bo
I
and,
know Cornell is doing something
Yeah.
with Sylvester Manor down the creek. I can't remember for the life of me exactly what it is.
all right, well,
Yeah, it says, he said, I expect to have someone from CC and or the Manor at the next WMAC meeting to offer some information on the project concept. So maybe later, or maybe he didn't realize that the meeting was this week.
Sounds like September 9th.
There we go.
all right, oysters. I'll shoot them an email. I really don't, as far as speaking from the chairman, I don't really have anything else to add, except that we have a bunch of applications that we need to get going on. Let's see, so the first. Is it Heffy or Jeffy? I guess it's Jeffy. So this is, when Rob Herman came in last time, he had one section of bulkhead and told us that a second section would be coming. It looks pretty straightforward to me. I don't see any issues with it. It came without a DEC permit initially, but he followed up and got us the DEC permit. But it's a smaller section. I don't see any issues with it. I don't know if anyone else had a problem or had a chance to look at it.
I mean, it definitely is from us, pretty much. I mean, in the dock is, they're going to do a partial repair of the dock. I mean, it looks like it needs new stringers, and the number of piles and all new decking.
Dock's a whole, yeah, that's the second one.
That's the second one.
That's a whole second, that's
the second thing. But, I mean, the bulkhead itself, all the corners are like, it's all washed out there.
glad to see it getting.
Yeah, it's a big section of bulkhead that if it ever failed, it would make a big mess in there.
Yeah.
Did Al or Mark, did you have any issues with this bulkhead application?
I'm fine with it, Bill.
Yeah, I am too. I am too. The only thing I noticed is the estimated cost was like 35 grand for 116 feet. It's pretty good.
Good. You know, if someone who could do it cheaper, you want to get in touch with?
Yeah, it's somebody I'd definitely like to get in touch with.
I don't know if you want to step into that, but,
No,
Okay.
there's no need to.
all right, well, so James, you okay with it? Good.
Yes.
Matt? I'm good. Al, you're okay with it?
I'm good with it.
And Mark?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 6-0, approve that. So the second is the, also Jeffy, it's a dock application, so,
But this is the dock, yeah. Okay.
right, when this first came in, it was lacking in some detail as far as what exactly was going in here. So we asked for a materials list. This is a good example of exactly why we went back and made some changes to 5310C, which we'll go over later as part of the proposed Chapter 53 changes. Basically, when someone comes in and says that they are going to repair a dock and they tell you it's, no more than total replacement represents less than 30%, you really have no way of knowing that or proving that unless you get detailed drawings or a sketch or something and a materials list to know whether it's in kind and in place. So we requested that, and they've provided it. And the one thing that still I see as an issue is, I don't know exactly where it's written, but it states that we won't know, as far as framing goes, how much is involved until we remove the decking.
It's on the diagram.
Okay, yeah, I knew it someplace. So that, I didn't get down to look at this one, so I don't know whether,
I mean, you can see pretty much that there's some of it, some of it's been, it's been cobbled together over the years. Probably the stringers are gonna have to get done, I mean, it just from start to finish, I would think, the way it looks to me. I don't think you're gonna leave any of that old stuff under a new deck.
so most of the decking's gonna have to come off.
Well, I think all the decking,
That's,
the whole end of it, is the decking is shot there, and at the ends, the decking's rotted, so you wouldn't want to step near the end too much. Because,
This is one of the most strangest docks I've seen. This is the 45-degree angle.
right.
but that makes, the whole layout of that dock makes me wonder what would happen if it's more than, what is the 30% rule? Is this a particular situation where if it came up and there was, okay, now we gotta take the whole thing out because it's all shot, is this something that would have fallen under, okay, let's see if we can make it conform a little more? That was my own, I mean, I know the dock needs work, there's no doubt about it, I don't wanna slow that up, but this is one of those things that kind of red flagged me, is think, this is one of those what-if situations.
150 foot long, I think.
I don't even know what the length is, I was more just looking at because I didn't see those numbers, but I was more looking at the angle of it. That was the first thing that came out, the length wasn't considered, because I just didn't know the numbers, but.
And it's coming in before, the proposed change to go from 30% to 50%. You could easily ring the bell at 50%.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, in a dock that's this old, and like you said, it's been, kind of cobbled back together over the years to keep it maintained, but.
I mean, there's
That was my
quite a few
thoughts.
good pilings here, I mean.
Yeah. Where's the line drawn, and when do they find that out? That's,
Yeah, I know, it's a conundrum. It's like, what do we, well, either way, they have to put, so they need to put in an application. It's not, it doesn't fall under the situation where you're repairing less than the required amount. So the code's basically just saying, okay, now you have to make an application and get a permit. But yeah, then it comes into the non-conforming situation. Rob, you're there, right?
I am.
Do you have any, I don't know how closely you've looked at this, but do you have any idea where this stands as far as whether this is a total rebuild or not?
I don't. I have, we didn't submit the application. We've been handling as you mentioned before, the prior bulkhead application and then the one that's before you tonight. So I knew at the last meeting that he'd been talking to, I think Greenport Dock and also with the town clerk's office. And I think they figured out that they probably were going to have to do work that exceeded that $10,000 threshold. And so I know in that section of, when you can just do a repair without a permit versus when you need a permit, I think it's basically if any one of those, thresholds is triggered, they have to come in for a permit. So I'm assuming that that's why it's in front of you, because probably the reality is that they're gonna have to go over the 10 grand. And so I mean, I'm happy to see it because it means, they're trying to come in good faith and do it the right way and be transparent about that. But I've not had any detailed conversations with Mr. Jeffe or with Angelo about exactly what, like, I don't know what plan you've been given or what the exact scope of work is. I have seen the dock, and I think your assessment of what you just described, the biggest problem I think is just that decking at the end is in bad shape. I think he was looking to avoid, for various reasons, cost, regulatory, et cetera, having it turn into something much bigger, like a total rebuild. So I believe that was the intention, but I can't tell you more than that because I don't know, and I wouldn't want to misspeak or misrepresent.
It just seems like we should really need to get like the building department, this is one of the things we tried to anticipate in the proposed code is, inspecting a situation like this and determining what, on our own, what exactly needs to be done to see whether this is viable or not.
I mean, we could go look at it, but that doesn't do any good really because we're not experts on construction or dock building or any of that.
Maybe you could meet the contractor there. I don't know. I mean, I do know that I hear versions of this over the many years I've been doing this, and then heard it at my own house at some point. I mean, I think the reality is sometimes whether it's a deck in your backyard or with a dock, until they start pulling decking off, it's hard to know, is that wood framing going to be solid or is it going to be toast? Or somewhere in between. So I do think if that's what they're telling you, I'm sure that that's probably the truth, and he probably asked Angelo for that answer. And he probably just said it's going to depend. And of course, everybody's hope is that independent of the regulations, the hope is that it's all solid so that it can just be reused, because otherwise the cost of the thing then goes up, that much more.
Well, and from a design perspective, then he's got a non-conforming dock. So the code requires that he makes it less non-conforming in some way. And it's such an unusual dock. Whether that footprint of that dock makes the most sense in that area or not, I don't know. But
yeah, I can't speak to that because I'm not, as I said, I'm not representing the application, so I don't want to. I'd rather you reach back out to them and let them, speak to that.
I'm happy to go meet Angelo down there and
But, Al,
see exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, I can see it that springers are rotten.
Al on Zoom.
you see, yeah, Al.
Yeah, I mean, the dock clearly needs to be repaired. I mean, I've been on it, I've walked it, and I've seen it. And I think the guy's making, doing the right thing in submitting an application. It's also, it's not in any way obstructing navigation in that area. So I would very much be in favor of just having them repair it. It just seems to make sense.
The only thing I would add, and again, this is not specific to this application, but this is just stuff that I see doing what I do. I know you guys are talking about some code revisions. I don't know what year that $10,000 threshold was codified, but I don't think it's been adjusted for inflation since. So it's hard to make much of a repair on anything these days, for less than $10,000. But the only thing I would say, I mean, if you have a situation where somebody is trying to repair, something that has been around for decades and decades, is not a controversial structure. It's not a structure that's, people are complaining about or they're causing problems. I mean, my only sort of ideological input on it is that you kind of want to make the process conducive to people, as Al just, kind of said, doing the right thing, coming in, being transparent about it, not trying to, lie about the cost and stuff, and to keep the structure safe and to keep it in good repair and to keep it, not becoming a blight on the watershed. Because if everyone who needs to repair something like this kind of gets, the word on the street that as soon as they come in to do that, they're going to be forced to make it smaller or shorter or whatever, it discourages people from, complying with the code. And that, I mean, that may or may not be moving to someone or not. It's just the only thing I can think of that I would mention on that. I mean, sometimes when something is, if something's fallen apart, that's different. But if something can be repaired within a reasonable scope of work, it seems reasonable to me to let somebody do that. Kind of reward them for coming in and paying their fees and doing it the right way. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're trying to figure out. Like, is this, is this a serviceable thing, or is it something that, they'd have to take completely down, and start from scratch. And like I said, from just seeing it, I can't answer that. I can't make that representation because I'm not representing Bob on this application. But I think that's just generally, if I'm giving you my semi-solicited opinion, that would be what it is, sort of just generally speaking.
Well, it's all reasonable. The only thing I'll mention is that you pointed out the $10,000 threshold. And one of the reasons why we've kept that number low is to require most repair jobs to come before us so that we can look at them and determine whether they are in kind, in place. If you had a high value, then a lot of jobs would just be done and we'd never get to review them. And we'd have to be trying to figure out whether it's a $50,000 job or a $10,000 job. So this way we get to look at the paperwork, and there's a perfect example of that situation.
Yeah, understood.
So, yeah, I think
just looking at it, I don't think the whole, you're not gonna lose the whole thing. I mean, there's stuff that's still serviceable there that, it can be rehabbed, just how much rehab is it gonna require? I mean, you could replace intermittent boards that are rotten at the end and just do it that way and leave the ones that are serviceable. I sort of got it like they were going to take all the decking off, but
That's what I just initially thought too.
and the only other thing I would say that I have an issue with is just because the dock is not receiving, notice by nearby neighbors, shall we say, I don't think that should be a criteria of how we view,
No.
an application. It's if the thing conforms to what our standards are, fine. It doesn't mean just because somebody doesn't like the dock, it shouldn't, influence us.
I guess it depends on why they don't like it.
Wow.
It's because it's
Looked at it.
illegal, then it's a problem.
That's a good reason.
Well, I think we definitely need to get a closer inspection of it. And if you're willing to,
Offer going to.
I'm happy to go down there with
Great offer.
meet
and
Angelo and
this might be a good, we're talking a lot about dock inspector and who that's going to be. And so I think,
This is a
I
good
think
example.
this is, we should
Actually show up from buildings department.
we should test this and see if, what the building inspector,
well, maybe we could get somebody, maybe Brett or somebody go down there with myself and Angelo and look at it.
yeah. Okay.
And you'd have like 3 different perspectives of
I like that idea, better than sending just the building inspector down. I like that.
It'd be great to hear what you, like, what a report back, like, what did the building inspector say, what do you think, and have that sort of.
Yeah, I think
That
that's,
feedback of where they're coming in. That'd be
Right,
great.
just one man's opinion, you have.
Yeah.
Better overview from different perspectives.
So I would say we table that until we get a chance to inspect. So Rob's not representing him on it, so this is this is,
Angelo Stepnowski.
yeah, okay. And he's not here. Okay. All right, so let's table that one for now. Next is Kasmeric. Bulkhead. This is,
That's me.
another one, I didn't have any issues with this one.
It's just got some serious issues.
Really needs to be repaired. Repairs look like they make sense. Everything's basically in place. Anyone else have any observations or thoughts?
No, it needs it. It's
No, it definitely,
definitely needs, there's a hole there.
All good?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
James, you're good? Matt?
Yes.
Tom? Good, I'm good. Al?
Yeah, I'm good.
Guys? Mark, you still there?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. All right, 6-0. Favor. So Island Yacht Club. Dredging. I know that Tom had a question as to where the spoils are going. I think it just,
taking them away. They didn't say where they're going. They just said they're taking them away.
Oh, they said they're taking them away.
They said it's suitable. They didn't say suitable?
Upland suitable location. I didn't know.
Rob, this is you too.
This is me too.
You know, yeah, you know what the plan is for spoils?
Well, sort of. Let me just see. I wanted to see if I could get, if I can share my screen. I have a pretty good photo.
Question. I don't have to step out for this, do
I think you're okay. For me? Yeah. Should we?
Or Matt, you actually say.
Empty the room.
I'm gonna see the member, the members.
Ready on a quorum.
I? I'm not voting, so.
So let me just, am I able to share my screen? I think so, right?
Go ahead.
Let me go ahead and give that a shot. Can you see that all right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
so-
what we have in front of us, yep.
Yeah, that was my question, was how much of that's coming out and how far down does the bulkhead go? I mean, is it, into the ground? You
Yeah,
know,
so this
yeah.
is, this is the same, so this is the same dredge permit that the town issued 10 years ago. It's a 10-year maintenance, and this is where, I assume you have the plan in front of you. It kind of that L shape around that section of bulkhead, it piles up. It's very sandy, it's very gravelly. It's not like interior marina, muck and stuff. It's just where this silts up. I think this is a shot looking in the other direction. So the dredging is not down in here. This is just another angle, kind of looking down toward the corner of the dredging. So it goes down to -6 mean low water. In some of the area right now off the outside bulkhead, there really isn't any material that's going to be picked up currently because it's already, at 7-8 feet. But you do these 10-year dredge permits once every 10 years, and the Army Corps of Engineers puts you through the ringer with essential fish habitat assessments and endangered species assessments and everything else. So you basically just repeating, the same dredge area that was approved previously. And in this case, it's the north side, that first picture that I showed you. That's really the main spot. So it's, I want to say, I think Latham does the dredging, and it gets, I think they take it to their yard. I'd have to double check with John Hocker, but it's usually the same, it's the same protocol each time they've done it. As I said, I handled the permits in 2013, and it's basically, it's really just a repeat of that. I can't tell you off the top of my head how far that bulkheading goes down, but it's going to go down well below 6 feet below mean low water, and that's where they dredged it to, previously under the prior permit. So it's pretty straightforward. It's about as straightforward as maintenance dredging gets, just particularly because you're dealing with such kind of sandy, gravelly material, as opposed to being like inside, a marina with low flow and mucky soils and stuff like that.
Right. I was just wondering, because you're removing 1.4 feet and 2.1 feet going back as far as 60 feet along that.
60 by 20 foot section of the north end there.
It's really not 60, it's because he's over, it's probably 50 feet.
50 from
That's
the.
correct. Yeah, that 60-foot dimension includes the 10 feet out off the east side.
Right.
So it's really 50 feet in from the corner. It's less than 100 yards of spoil, and it'd probably be even less than that, really. But it is that corner that silts up. It's really, there's nothing.
Essentially, you're doing that just to maintain the depth at the end of the pier, right? On the east side of the pier.
That's correct, because that's where it silts up. And you could see, if you just look at the depths from Peconic, they get out to about -5 at that corner, which is just, so that needs to be dredged. But then as you start to go south, you can see it gets, deeper along the bulkhead. It's almost 8 feet. It gets almost to 9 feet by the time you get to the southerly corner. And just outside that 10-foot dredge area, you're at 9, 10 feet. So it's mostly that north corner, that just whatever it is about the drift there, that corner just loves to shoal up. And, they have to just, I think when I've talked, and it's not really much work that's done. It's just they have, we have to, every 10 years, we have to keep the permit, current. And I'm not talking about the non-local permits, the Corps and Department of State and DEC, are always for these 10-year periods, and they put dredge windows on it. And so usually by the time the DEC and the Corps are done, there's a pretty narrow dredge window that can occur, late in the year, beginning of the year, depending on, which window is applied. So at this point, we're just, we have the state DEC, the new 10-year permit from the state DEC and Department of State Coastal Resources. And so we're just, other than the town, your committee and the town board, we're just waiting on the Army Corps, which is always just it's an exhausting process. But I think they've gone to public notice now. So hopefully within the next couple of months, we should have that buttoned up.
All right, well, I don't have any other questions or issues. Anyone else? All the members of the yacht club are fine with this?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Al's the dredging expert, right? So.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with it. It's a pretty standard thing. I'm probably gonna be coming before you with something similar before you know it.
Huh.
Giving us a warning, huh? Let's take a shot.
Give me a heads up. Yeah, it's, you want to keep the navigation of the areas that you navigate. It's not a big deal. It's all sand. It's not a big deal about
Not
what
even
it
muck.
goes either.
Like,
Right.
So James, you good? Matt?
I'm good, Joe.
I'm good. Al's good. Mark, you good?
That's what these on are.
He's gone? Yeah, all right, so 5-0 in favor. Next one is Wallisoff and Garrett. This is an interesting one. I like I saw this yesterday and today. I like Rob, this is you again. This is
Yeah.
like your night. I like the approach with the boulders versus extending the bulkhead. It makes a lot of sense. I was down there yesterday on a calm day, and about 80, 90-foot yacht went by, and at around 4:30, and a wave came in, their wake came in, and it hit their bulkhead, their flat portion of their bulkhead, and it shot water 20, 30 feet in the air. And then the wave went out and caught the next wave, which increased the wave by 50%. And that came in and shot. I thought it was going to knock the house and the bulkhead down. It was amazing.
draining off into that corner that's all washed out.
Yeah, it didn't run up that far because the tide wasn't that high, but you could see the dynamics there.
I mean, that's a mess there. I mean,
It comes right in around tears out the end of it. So I like if more people would put boulders in, it would just redirect all that energy instead of hitting a flat wall. It'd make a huge difference.
although he's talking about putting boulders at that return, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I mean,
Right.
But-
Can I share my screen again?
yeah,
I was just going to show you the photo. Everybody kind of has it.
yeah, we have that.
Are those are those anchors that have washed away? Or it looks like there's a line of something coming out beyond the end of the return there. Is that?
I mean, the tie rod?
I
So
think
this
those-
right here is just,
No, I
it's
mean-
just a, yeah, this is just a tie rod this is, that's
No,
just,
that's an old set of steps.
Yeah, that. Okay, that's.
yeah, this is an exposed tie rod because as this area got eroded, it started to wrap around the inside of the return. So we had actually started out with just an extension of the return because that was sort of the simplest and most cost-effective way of doing it. But the state, we'd kind of been on the fence in terms of which way to go. So we kind of just went the straightforward way and wait to see what what guidance we got back from the DEC, and the DEC did come back and said they would, if the homeowners were willing to consider it, they would prefer, doing the boulder line because of all the obvious reasons that instead of just extending the vertically faced wall, where over time you potentially, if you get enough wave energy in here, you just kind of translate the problem, farther landward. Whereas the idea is that basically by creating a stone return, which stays in line with the bulkhead, so it's not designed to like go out here. But basically the stone return goes through, you can, then you have more of an angle. It's the stone has an ability to dissipate wave energy in a way, obviously that's more desirable than a vertically faced wall. And then basically just backfilling and replanting this area. So we did, Bruce and Margaret, just, there was really no discussion. They just said, yeah, let's just do that. That sounds like the right way to do it. So we revised the plan. And then got the permit from the DEC for the plan that's in front of you. And I forget which one of you guys said you just went down there, but Bruce had mentioned it. I think he met you down there and
Bill Carity went down, yeah.
yeah, so he was happy to hear that he seemed to appreciate the design. Yeah, so I agree. I mean, it's the right way to go. And hopefully it mitigates the problem as, without the without kicking the can up the closer to the road.
Good. Anybody, anything else on this? Comments or?
So the whole return will be taken down and replaced with boulders?
No,
No,
just
that-
the end there.
From the bulkhead and landward.
Got it. And that bulkhead there that's existing is fine, it's just back.
It just needs to be not undermined.
Yeah. It's just,
Unfortunately,
it's not, it's right. It's not going to be fine if they don't get this filled in.
Right, and it's wood. It hasn't been replaced with vinyl yet. Hopefully this will last a while. James?
Good.
Matt?
Great.
Good, I'm good. Al?
So Rob, just a quick question. The whole return is going to be stone?
No, well, the existing bulkhead return will stay.
Okay,
And
and
then
then just the area
the
beyond it.
entire extended return is stone. There's no new
Got it,
wood.
okay.
There's no new bulkhead.
Right, okay, all right, I'm good. Sorry to interrupt, but.
No, it's
I didn't
fine.
quite-
All right. 5-0 in favor, it's good.
All right, good night, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, see you, Rob, take care.
Thank you.
Next is Hoffman's mooring application. Oh, yeah, Al is 5-0 on Wallace. So Hoffman,
He had this morning before.
yeah. So Christina was pointing out that the location on the form, location on the application is incorrect. Proper latitude and longitude is on the map.
In the upper left.
Yeah. because the one on the form basically has the mooring inside the dock. So maybe he had the mooring there before he put the dock in. I don't know. But that location. Can we, oh, got it up there. Can you zoom out a little bit?
And the mooring in the same spot.
Does that mean that he was trying to renew something that was already there? Or-
He said, he intimates that he had this mooring right where he's asking for it. He must have let it go. It's the same situation as the next one.
Oh, okay, okay, that, I didn't quite get what that meant, I didn't know whether he was
I think
saying
that's what it
someone
means.
took it, or.
I know for the next one, that's what it means.
Yes, he had to cancel more.
He did cancel it, now he's, okay.
Looks like he was thinking about canceling this one too. It's all crossed.
No, exactly.
But this is a riparian, so he doesn't necessarily need the.
He crossed out all the boats.
That's why he crossed out the boat.
A on the left. Okay.
So, yeah, it looks like it, as good a location as any. James?
I'm good.
Agreed. Matt? Tom? I'm good. Al?
I'm good.
All right, 5-0 for Hoffman. And the last, it's this one, Lang. Lang. Oh, yeah, I didn't have a good idea of where Lang is up in.
Right out in the middle of the creek down at.
Yeah, that's why I thought it looked like it was out in the middle of the
Is
creek.
this mooring already in place, because this boat is in that mooring field?
This mooring, I don't know that it's in place. I don't know whose mooring it might be. They just got that boat.
I just passed this boat.
That-
It was just,
I think the boat might be on another mooring.
It might be on somebody.
Yeah, it might be on somebody else's
This is
mooring.
not-
He just got the boat.
oh, he was sailing it.
They had a whaler, they had a mooring for a whaler, up the creek further, which is what I think they're asking for again.
Is that a new location, or is that an old location that he's taking over?
I think he's taking over the location that they had, I think.
Out of 25 years.
Also canceled.
And what happened? They let it go, James?
But yeah, I think, they just lost track of it. I think I don't know this for sure, but they were hauling the whaler. They weren't keeping the whaler on a mooring at some point.
No, no boat, they want it. So,
And then they probably didn't think about the mooring. And then it wasn't there anymore.
so that location is 2240, that pin is where 2240 was? She's got West W 2240, that would just be, that's not right.
Don't have one exact location for 25 years. It was sort of,
W 2240 would be West Neck. And this looks,
well, I mean, this is West Neck, though. I mean,
Yeah. It's off that town landing, that Silver Beach landing.
oh, yes.
Can you zoom back?
Yeah.
Just so we all know.
Yeah, can we
Yeah,
zoom out and get a sense of where this is?
It was in the creek portion of the
That's
wider
where they
creek
had it
portion,
before.
lower creek portion.
they live on Smith Street. So it's,
Oh, it's right up near Westmoreland Airfield there.
Yeah,
Okay.
looks like it's right off that town landing there, that Silver Beach landing. I guess Silver Beach owns some of it. and
Right.
then
at the end of whatever, Bay Shore or whatever.
Yeah, Bay Shore, yep. It's a nice spot, all right? Go back in again, yeah. Yeah. Fine to me. Good.
Good with me.
James,
I mean, is
Matt?
there enough water in there? I know it gets shallow as you get inside.
That should be okay.
It looks like there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's water there. Well,
Just learn how to land the boat,
Mhm.
what?
how to approach the mooring.
Um,
Keep it peeled over.
all right, so James is good, Matt?
Yes.
I'm good. I'm good. Al?
Yep. I'm good.
Okay, 5-0 for Lang, Burgess. Right, that's it for the applications. So a couple of chapter 53 items. So they're going through, town board and town attorney are going through chapter 53. They asked that we address a couple of definitions. One was for private dock. So basically, the one we have in our proposal is dock utilized by the owner or occupant to accommodate pleasure vessels. They want to add to that, and commercial fishing vessels. Basically, so individuals who own commercial fishing vessels, if they have a dock, they can maintain that vessel at their dock. And limiting it to just commercial fishing vessels and not other commercial vessels in order to avoid having commercial operations in residential areas, such as,
Commercial fishing vessels owned by the same person who owns the dock.
well, hopefully.
Well, I mean, if it's not that, then it's like a whole, like.
What we don't have in the code is something that says that you can't rent your dock. So you could have,
Well, yeah, I mean,
right, someone renting the dock out to someone to keep their boat there or their,
or a fishing vessel.
Stephen had said that he is working on like an Airbnb, no Airbnb concept for docks, which, I'll have to see what that is. But this seemed like a middle ground to at least, permit people to keep their.
I mean, we want to encourage commercial fishing, right?
We do, and, the analogous situation was, a guy's got a truck, he's an electrician, and he parks in his driveway. It's like, if you couldn't keep a commercial vehicle in your driveway, then you'd have a problem. I mean, it seems to make perfect sense to me. It's certainly something I would get behind. So we're just putting it out to you guys to make sure that it flies, since it's a substantive change to what we proposed, so.
I think it's a good thing.
Surprised to hear that from you.
I do.
Really?
I do appreciate that, Stephen is looking out for that aspect of us. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, there was nothing really stating that it was illegal before. I guess it was just a proposal that the change that we had made, made it exclusionary to that, yeah.
I mean, the concern that I have about it is renting out to other people. So I think, the tradesman parking a vehicle in the driveway, I think is a great analogy. The question is like, are you then allowed to rent out your driveway to, somebody else so that they can keep their vehicle there? And I think that's sort of the thing that I would, to James's point, I'm concerned about that. And if that isn't addressed in the whole redraft, then I would have a distinct problem.
Yeah, we haven't addressed it. It's, I personally, I could argue it either way. I mean, I think it's, I I like the idea. I've benefited from the concept of people renting out a dock. And because I've rented a dock before I owned a dock. And it was, so the structure's there. It's not going away. And it comes up where you have an individual who is no longer a boater, or doesn't own a boat, whatever, and they have the dock. And this way, if they can rent it, it reduces the demand for more docks. We're utilizing what's there. I'd rather see a boat on a dock than an empty dock.
It's like if they had a cottage and, their kids used to use, and now their kids have grew, moved away or whatever, and now the cottage is sitting there and they rent it to somebody else, I mean, like.
And then, and then we've addressed, affordable housing in a way. So
The lack of dock space available for rent on Shelter Island from the town, this is an obvious no-brainer. The only thing I would say is that maybe this shouldn't be limited to just the homeowner. Like you said, you're renting out dock space, why should this be?
well, it says owner or occupant is actually the way it reads. So it could be, the person who's renting the house or
The dock.
but there's no limitation on renting the dock, so it's. Anyone else? Al, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's just, to me, it seems to make sense. You just don't want to see it abused with something, that's ostentatious. You don't want a tooth fairy again.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I think limiting it to just commercial fishing vessels, if we had commercial vessels in general, I think we would be inviting all sorts of things. So if that works for everybody, then James, you're okay with this change? And Matt, so I'm good. So Al, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good, as long as it's, we're seeing more and more of these commercial boats that are leased, leased for the day, 50-footers,
Barton and Gray.
I don't think you want to see those on private docks. And
So limiting
if
it
somebody
to
just
commercial
gets
fishing.
if somebody just gets a commercial fishing license and then, you know what I'm saying? That's my only reservation.
Actually, could you clarify that out? Like, so you're concerned that somebody might get their commercial fishing license just so that they can keep the boat on the dock?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it. And I'm talking about
Does
the
that make it a
commercial
commercial
operations
fishing
that
vessel?
are
Isn't a fishing
leasing
vessel?
out large boats. I mean, there's a bunch of them in Mill Creek, but they're at a marina. They're not in, in a local, in front of somebody's house. They're not in a residential area, but I don't think you'd want to see those in residential areas, is my point. And it's
Yeah,
just,
no,
it's just a minor, I think it's a minor reservation, but it's just a reservation that I just like to be aware of, like you guys to be aware of. And
Well, I think the use of a commercial fishing vessel, as stated, it's pretty obvious what a commercial vessel is versus one of those charter boats.
Pleasure vessel,
But at the same time, this brings up the other subject. Now the commercial fishing vessel is a charter boat. Charter boats can be both for fishing and for also sunset cruises. So I don't know, that just popped into my head there, just to make things more complicated.
So like a
You
boat.
can't regulate everything. I mean, you can, like if it's a commercial fishing vessel, it is.
Oh, yeah, a charter boat, according to the DEC, is technically a commercial boat.
What is a commercial fishing boat?
Well, if it's a fishing charter boat, then yes, it's commercially fishing. They follow some of the same guidelines. So I don't know how you would do that. I mean, I think it's a good idea to limit it to commercial vessels, but that's gonna have to, I don't know, this may not be specific enough.
When you and I were going through all those Congdon Creek changes and everything else,
Yeah.
you had used the term resident commercial fishing
Yeah, what
license
is
or
it?
resident commercial fishing vessel.
Yeah, resident commercial harvester? Or no, I used. What are you? Commercial.
Shelter Island resident who owns a fishing
commercial
vessel.
Seafood
Right, right.
harvester.
That's right, that's what it-
Resident Commercial seafood harvester.
I'm just wondering if it's
Maybe that's
changing this to resident commercial fishing vessel would narrow it down enough.
that would significantly narrow.
That would take away the Barton and Gray thing.
That would eliminate.
Unless they own real estate on Shelter Island.
Right.
But, I mean, that's a thought. I think that's,
I mean, I think that's the primary, I believe that was the primary target of this resident.
I'm sure that's what it is, right?
That was the target for this change.
Yeah.
So,
So
Maybe that
qualify
should
it.
be resident commercial fishing vessel.
Resident owned commercial fishing vessel.
Yes, resident.
Shelter Island resident.
specify an area of the island or a street? No.
could we eliminate that?
Yeah, that wasn't the details.
We had that. in
Oh, yeah, I had put,
For Common Creek, they bring it back in.
yeah.
What's that?
We had the very specific language for resident, or domiciliary.
You shot it down. It was all for you, Tom.
Domiciliary, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Auxiliary, yeah.
Can't get to a meeting without that word.
All right, well, I'll put that back as a suggestion, resident-owned commercial, okay. Next one is commercial vessel. So currently it reads, a boat or vessel from which the owner obtains a significant portion of their income and/or which is documented or registered as a commercial/passenger vessel, either with New York State or the Coast Guard. That was changed. So a boat or vessel from which the owner obtains any income, basically because as we bounce it around, how do you significant, if there's,
What is that?
what is that? So if they're making money from it, or is documented or registered as a commercial/passenger vessel, either New York or Coast Guard, and then added, or the operation of which requires a US Coast Guard license. Basically, that was added because of, as far as I can see with New York State and with Coast Guard, it's really not, you don't register the vessel. You don't have to register a vessel, commercial or passenger or personal. It's really the use of the vessel and the license required to run the vessel. So that's why I added that last portion. So and this came up in discussions about a launch, using launches at commercial docks, or to get into a residential, docks are built in residential areas that are supposed to be commercial docks. But so that's why that change was put in. Any thoughts or comments on that?
So I just think it begs the same question of these, commercially leased vessels at private docks. Which you're seeing more and more of every season.
Well, this is just defining the vessel, not the use of the dock, just defining what the vessel is, whether it's a commercial vessel or a pleasure vessel. So it's basically how the vessel's used, how it's documented, how it's registered.
So are we opening up a door that we don't want to, is my question.
Well, in what way?
Are you opening up a door to have commercially leased vessels that could be for pleasure? I mean, these there are boats that are leased, they're leased for a day, day trips, and they're typically pretty large boats. They come with a captain and.
So then they're a commercial
Do
vessel.
we want to see those, do you want to see those at private docks?
That's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about the definition of a commercial vessel.
Definition of a commercial vessel.
There's not whether they can go to a dock or not. It's just what's the
Okay.
definition of a commercial vessel?
Okay,
It's just
So
defining.
you're broadening the definition here to
okay.
some degree, right?
We're just looking at the definition of what it is. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's all it is. Just it's the definition of commercial vessel.
Okay.
Okay, so where were we? So,
Okay.
you're good?
Yeah.
You're good? You're good?
Yep.
I'm good. Al, so you good with that?
Good. Yep, yep.
Okay. Okay. You'll read my writing here. So the last was this modification to 5310C. So requirements for a permit. We've got, whether you are repairing, modifying, altering a dock. And the way in both the current code and the proposed code, I think it stayed the same so that under C, it reads, each application for a new dock shall be accompanied by the following. There is nothing in the current code or the proposed code that addresses what needs to accompany an application when you are doing an alteration or a modification or a repair, if the permit's required for a repair. Determine whether a permit's required or repair under A. So beyond that, it doesn't, nothing addresses what we need when we get an application for a modification or repair or alteration. So I changed this, took out each permit application shall include the following, and then address just new construction, because new construction has the additional requirements of the survey and the drawing. And then all the other things that require the list of materials, copies of applications, the certificate signed by the owner. They would apply only for alterations, modifications, and repairs if you needed a permit for repair. And then there's the catch-all at the end that says basically any information the town board, and actually it should read and/or WMAC may deem necessary. So hopefully you're following this, but this was the exact situation we just talked about with Jeffy, where they came in, there's really nothing, the only way we were able to request all the additional information we needed to determine whether that application required a permit was under the catch-all phrase at the end. But to be more specific and lay out, what is required in those situations makes a lot more sense. And that's basically that's all this change does.
Just in the catch-all phrase you're adding, the WMAC.
It's not adding, it's been in there.
It's been in there. It currently reads any other information which the town board may deem necessary. And what I was supposed to add in, I forgot, was town board and/or WMAC may deem necessary. Because when I talked to Stephen about it, he said, well, if it waits to get to the town board, then they're going to bounce back to WMAC. It's going to take another month. So,
That will be added.
yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, Bill, I got it open and there was something that to me didn't ring right. Where, if you want, you could share my screen or whatever, but it's now looking to read each permit application, which would imply anything, a bulkhead, a groin, you know, or anything that's on that sheet, right? We have bulkheads, groins, dredging, yada, yada,
Don't
yada.
don't let the
And then-
application form dictate what you think is required. It's the code that dictates what the application says. So this is under 9. So it starts out
It's
under,
5310C, and it says each permit application, and you crossed out for a new dock, but then when you get to point 1, it says a certified survey of the owner's property on which the proposed dock is to be located. So
New
if it's
dock, new
only, if this
construction only.
piece is only for a new dock, and if it's for a dock, then I would think that each permit application and what was crossed out was for a new dock. I would think that you want to leave that in there.
no, you don't. It's because this all comes under the heading of what's required for construction, alteration, or modification of a dock. That's 53-10A. This is C, so that all of this entire provision is addressing specifically docks. So, you know, so we're only talking about
Okay,
docks here.
all right, you know, I mean, I'm just looking at a piece, you know, obviously I'm looking at a piecemeal, so. If you guys are okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Is there a reason that the certified survey is not requiring a 12-month-old timestamp on it?
Why we crossed out the 12 months?
Yeah, why was that?
Because basically, by the time you get all the paperwork together,
It's already been 12
You're
months.
12.
I see.
you're into the 13th month, and now you go back to the beginning and.
You got a new survey and you start the 12 months over again.
Yeah, okay.
Gotcha. So,
Do we want to say that it's, I mean, to get at that point, is it that it's current? I mean, it reflects the situation on the ground, or is that?
I
I think that's probably what that 12 months is probably trying to
You're trying to push, that was the reasoning behind it, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I
that's,
suspect that it wouldn't.
in the
What's that?
DEC has 5 years.
5 years.
Oh,
Well,
5 years? Okay.
and basically, the last sentence here is what we had kicked around originally, and what ended up in here was, in the event the survey provided does not include all in-water structures and unusual features currently existing on the property, a new survey shall be. What happened? What happened?
Okay.
Oh, my God. Required, I guess. Oh, geez.
Hmm.
This only went through all of us and Steve.
Be or not to be.
Shall be. It just will be. That's it.
Hey, that's just today.
All right.
A new survey shall be.
All right, well, that is it. We good with this?
Yeah,
Good,
good.
I'm good. Al, you good?
Yep.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn and have dinner?
So move.
Yeah.
Second it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.